Good morning and a happy new week. It's good to have you join us on Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, that is TOS Television. My name is Merciful Ajinamo, and joining me in the studio to analyze some of the stories this morning is Felix. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, fine.
How is your weekend?
Well, it was a really engaging weekend,
Okay.
going by what happened in Anambra State.
Yeah, and that's the big story for today, and
All
that's the big
right.
story that people are talking about. So let's just go straight to it. The first newspaper we'll consider this morning is the Nigerian News Direct, and the banner headline there is Anambra Guber poll. Soludo clears 17 local government areas. We have two riders. The first, PDP APC suffer massive defeat, and the second, APC reject result, PDP await final result declaration for reaction. I'm going to get your take on how you think the election ran throughout, Friday to Saturday, and what do you think of the outcome? And this is kind of typical, having parties rejecting results. This is not the first time I've seen it, but what do you think? How do you think all of this will, come out in future?
Number one, clearing 17 local governments says it all. You get, and for party members to, or other parties, opposing parties to have come out, I think it's only APC that is talking about that. PDP
Yes.
has not spoken about it, still waiting for the final result. Don't forget, two local governments, there was no election until 13th of this month. So we're waiting for that. It's like that's what PDP too is waiting for. So anybody that is aggrieved can always come up. It's their right, to, as long as there are places where they can go, to seek for redress. And,
Legally.
yes, legally. Yes. So it's normal. But I can tell you, for what happened that we saw, clearing 70 local government is...
It's the majority, right?
That's it, because going by the numbers, going by the figures that even came out from those 17 local governments, is really showing, but it's not for us to declare, it's for INEC to declare who the winner is. So that's it. So I feel on a general note, the election was had its flaws. It had its flaws. The beavers didn't work well. So in fact, it got to a point I had to ask myself that, are we failing technology, or is technology failing us? Because we thought that the beavers will have given us a stress-free election. But at the end of the day, it failed most times, to be sincere. It got to a point the APGA candidate, Soludo, could not, it took time before he could vote. There was no, the beavers was not working. Technicians had to come severally to see what they could do about it. And the man was even frustrated at the point. People were there, almost 1,000 people standing, and they were like, what was all this?
Could you demystify what a beaver is?
It's the new technology by, I've forgotten the full, this thing now, the full, what's it called? The full meaning of the acronym. So but I think that's a new technology now and it's not made in Nigeria. That's another thing. So INEC has to really look into this, because these technologies we are using are not made here. They are made in China. And is it now that maybe they have to sit down again and find a way to go back and see how to put this thing right? Because in just one state election, if we are still having issues with it, think of 2023, when we'll be having 36 states with FCT making 37, and we'll be having such issues. You understand? So I think they need to go back and check and, find a way around it to make it at least perfect to another level. Then another thing I want us to also take note is the issue of the security. Seeing Soludo in his polling unit, there was no single security man. There was no single security personnel.
Were you there?
Yeah, we watched everything. We saw everything live.
Okay.
He said it. They had almost over 1,000 people, and there was no security personnel. Don't forget, NSCDC sent over 20,000 personnel. Nigerian police sent almost 35,000 personnel. Where were almost 60,000 personnel? So these are some of the things that we just need to take note of. You begin to ask yourself, though what people were expecting was the issue of insecurity because of the IPOB, wherever. But we thank God nothing like that happened. We all know 2 days before the election, IPOB came out that no, people should be free to carry out their franchise and the rest. But what about the policemen that was supposed to be in every polling unit? For Soludo to have said it, that no policeman, no single policeman. What if something had happened in that place? What about those places where we had reports of ballot boxes being snatched and the rest? In fact, yesterday, one of the returning officers said he had to sign some results, under duress, that was kept in the toilet, you see, all these things, we need to find a way around it and make our electoral process better than the way we run it.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question because everyone was watching, and Anambra election was something people watched out for to see how it turned out. And we saw the number of security operators that were, sent there and, mobilized for that election alone. And now, from what you said, so on the other hand, we're saying, there was so much tension from the people who spoke to, the activities that happened before the election, and now the election has happened. So that's that's where people will definitely have questions. But the thing is now, the tension was as a result of insecurity issues, and now it has happened, and we've had no record, little or no record of what snatching of ballot boxes and reporting what is happening. So it's kind of a win-win situation if you ask. But then again, people should know what happened. When we have data, numbers of people, say this is what we have to come and run this thing, and yet people are not seeing them. So where were they? That's the big question.
That's the question. That's the question, because it's very necessary we ask. Because another thing that we really saw again, don't forget, they came out to do a kind of show of force before the election. That's the police, yes. Right? They came out for a show of force. If you are doing show of force, do you know that show of force also added to the issue of voter apathy? It added because going by what people said before the election, they said they are scared. Even seeing police around carrying guns. And one of the rules of election is that where at the polling unit, a policeman or whoever, a security personnel must not come with gun, but probably outside the place you can carry all those things. But for people to have seen police doing the number of police, the show of force and the rest, but at the end of the day, don't forget, Anambra has a record of one of the highest voter apathy in any election in Nigeria. The last governorship election, I think it was only 30% of registered voters that came out. This one now, we're already seeing, analysts talking about, what even happened, how many people came out. I'm not sure if they're up to 20% that came out this time around. So we need to find a way around our election and make it better, than, what we've been practicing. And again, if you see, I'm sorry, I'll go a bit international now. If you see what happened in the US, this past week, I think on Tuesday, look at what happened in Virginia, where a Republican won an election. Now, the election that the Republican won, that Virginia happens to be a Democrat state. You understand? Democratic state. But at the end of the day, they had an election in December, and look at what happened. Just 10 months or 11 months later, meaning that the way they practice their own election there is that even though we vote you in now, if you didn't do what you've promised, if you didn't do well, we'll send you out. That's what happened. Look at what also happened in New Jersey. New Jersey, the Democrats won in the presidential election with 16% over the Republican. But the governor struggled to win with just 1%. He struggled. The Democrats struggled. You see, we need to come to the fact that when it comes to election, our people needs to know that this is their right. Don't forget, I really appreciate the people that rejected some monies, but some collected. I don't know if you've heard about that. It happened. Yes. There was even one before the election. Some parties or a party was trying to gave 400 naira with a can of malt.
Yes.
Then during the election, We saw what happened again, 2,500, 5,000 naira. Our people, Nigerians need to take their own destiny into their hands. We can learn from what happened in US. That's why I told some people last year, I said, look at what happened in US. Don't think that because we voted you in, that you always continue. If you didn't do well, we'll take you out.
That's definitely the case. Okay, still on Nigerian News Direct, we have a couple of other headlines there. Just on top there, we see Kwara leads APC state in developmental stride, and some other stories right there. The next one is Daily Independent. The banner headline there is Federal Government, CBN, consider under the table Naira devaluation. We have a couple of other stories right there on the front page. Just grab yourself a copy of any of these newspapers and also get informed. Stay abreast of what's happening in Nigeria and, of course, across Africa and, of course, the entire world. Thank you so much for joining us on Nigeria Now. Don't forget you can be a part of our society, our social media community, rather. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And, of course, our website is www.tostvnetwork.com. Thank you again for joining. I am Merciful Ajinimo. See you tomorrow.